It's no secret that the Sega Dreamcast goes down as one of my favorite consoles of all time, with undoubtedly the greatest library of games ever made and one of the greatest, most advanced systems of all time for its time. Almost 20 years has gone by and still homebrews are being made for this amazing system. These games are not in any particular order. They're games that I'll constantly reach for in the library and honestly play almost monthly. There's so many great games that could have been added on this list, but unfortunately this wouldn't have been in a top 10. It would have been a top 152. Most of these games came out in the first year of the Dreamcast launch and still hold a special place in my heart. Number 10, Cannon Spike. You've probably seen this in past videos, probably arguably one of my favorite crowning jewels of the system. If you haven't played Cannon Spike, do yourself a favor. Picking one up is kind of out of the question. It's kind of a pricey game, 250 bucks, but you can honestly emulate it, burn it. If you have a Sega Dreamcast, the GD-ROMs, it'll allow you to burn and play games. This game is so much fun. It's a third-person, over-the-camera, bullet hell type of game. It has a lot of cameos from other characters from other Capcom games. Games like Street Fighter, Mega Man, and Ghouls and Ghosts. This game is by far probably one of the funnest games that you'll play on the system. It's just so much fun. You're using the controls intuitively, basically using the analog stick to move around and the directional buttons A, B, X, Y to turn and to shoot in a specific direction. It's so much fun. It's fast-paced. It's unbelievably fast-paced. Unbelievable why it wasn't a commercial success. Unfortunately, the Dreamcast didn't last very long, 2 years. This was the second year run of the game on the system, and you can understand why it didn't do a commercial success. Not many people had this system. If you can do yourself a favor, honestly, pick this game up. So much fun. But that's number 10. Number 9, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. It's very dark for its time. I remember being 19 years old and picking this game up. So much fun. The puzzles are like on Legend of Zelda type of puzzles. You're moving blocks to get higher. You're doing a lot of realm shifting. Your character Azrael was killed by Kain, hence Legacy of Kain. You were killed by Kain because he was jealous of you for having wings before the Dark Prince himself, and he actually sent you to the Nether Realm. While you're in the Nether Realm, control the realm by doing certain puzzles and absorbing souls, and if you absorb enough souls, you can switch the spectral realm to the current realm that you're supposed to be in, and going back and forth and doing that, killing monsters and sucking their souls out. There's so much greatness to this game. It's so much fun. Very, very underrated game. If you haven't played it, honestly, do yourself a favor. I believe it also came out on the PlayStation 2. Probably a little bit cheaper there. Such a great game. If you haven't played it, play it. Do yourself a favor and play it. So much fun. Number 9, Virtua Tennis. If you haven't played Virtua Tennis, do yourself a favor and pick yourself a copy. It's so much fun. Very, very cheap game, maybe about 15 bucks. Just the mini games alone. I used to spend hours upon hours just doing the mini games, trying to knock out the blocks with the tennis balls, I think it was a bowling one. It was so much fun. There's 8 international stars. It's very arcadey. It's a game that you can honestly pick up with a controller and play. It's the first tennis head-to-head game that's on the Dreamcast. If you haven't played it, like I said, do yourself a favor and pick this up. So much fun. Number 8, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is probably one of the greatest fighting games on the system. There are other great fighting games, trust me. This is basically one of my favorites. Another one being on this list as well. This one took leaps and bounds over the first Marvel vs. Capcom. So much fun. You could juggle your opponents with your 3 combatants, doing super moves and going back and forth. I have to pick up an arcade stick. I'm using the regular Sega Dreamcast controller, and unfortunately, playing with that's not very easy. It's easy, it's not the same without the 6 buttons and the joystick. If you haven't played it, honestly, pick it up. You can probably play it on the PlayStation 2. I think it's on the Xbox as well. I believe on the Xbox it's a little bit more expensive. Great game. 6, Crazy Taxi. I remember playing this in arcades and walking through the arcades and just listening to sound of the music coming out of it with Offspring and hearing the soundtrack as you're walking by it. Such a great game. I'm so happy that they ported this over to the Sega Dreamcast. It's unbelievably fun. With music from Offspring and Bad Religion, it's so simple to play, but yet so hard to master. You have your choice of 4 characters, each wackier and zanier as the others. The cars don't really play any different. The characters don't really play any different. I've even picked it up on the 360 as of late. Unbelievable fun. And the mini games are better than Virtual Tennis's mini games. I loved playing the mini games in this. Number 5. Number 5, I can honestly say this is probably my favorite sports title on the system. I remember picking this up, probably the 2nd or 3rd game I picked up on the Dreamcast back then. So much fun. It's like, I remember playing this game constantly and watching Randy Moss, my favorite player, cover boy on this game, just bombing it downfield and watch him catch the ball over and over again on replay. I used to throw the ball up, a Hail Mary, and just on instant replay and watch it 360 camera angles, go wrap around, and watch the ball go into his hands. I remember for instant replay was such a big deal for me, at least. First 3D style sports game that I honestly could say that blew my mind when you're playing NHL 94 on the Sega Genesis, and then you jump into something like this was unbelievable. Number 4, Power Stone. Really? If you haven't played Power Stone, get yourself from underneath that rock. Goes without saying, on my list at least. It's on a 3D plane. You can use your environment as to throw tables and chairs at your opponent. Use your environment to jump up onto higher. It's much like Smash Brothers. If you've played Smash Brothers, this is exactly like Smash Brothers. This is what Smash Brothers was before Smash Brothers. Such a fun game, unbelievable controls. Switching from your main character to its alter ego was an unbelievable changing point in the game. If you got into your alter ego and you were an opponent, better watch out, stay your distance. You would use jewels that were on the map, and if you collected all 3, you would change into your alter ego. There's so many different characters that are in this game. Each character felt unique and different. If you haven't played this game, do yourself a favor and play it, GD-ROM it, whatever you need to do to play it. It's a great, great game. Number 3, Dynamite Tops. Oh man, still one of my favorite style of game is the beat 'em up. I love Streets of Rage, I love Final Fight, and I love this game. If you haven't played it, it's a third-person beat 'em up. It's got QTE events, very fast-paced. If you're not doing the QTE events, you basically miss out on the opportunity. It's unbelievably fun. You can use pipes, bombs, grenades, pistols, machine guns. If you haven't played this, this is basically, they say it is the prequel or the sequel to Die Hard. I'm not sure if it came before or Die Hard came after. I'm not exactly sure, but this is a great, great game. Number 2, this was my launch title for the Sega Dreamcast. This game was something else. I remember reading so much about this game through GamePro and EGM when they were talking about the Sega Dreamcast and its launch titles. This is by far one I was looking forward to. Playing it in arcades didn't hold a candle to actually playing this at home. Such a great game. I remember using Killiks with his staff, or Maxi with his nunchucks. And Maxi was really fun to use with his nunchucks, and hitting and seeing the particle effects and knocking a ring out. It was unbelievable. It was a great game. Easy to play, but hard to master. If you haven't played it, to do yourself a favor, just like I said, much like any other game that's on this list, do yourself a favor and pick this up. Such a great game. Number 1, Shenmue. I'm still playing this game to this day. I've played it so many times. I'm playing it right now. I'm on disc 2. It's so much fun. The story is so deep, but the storytelling is kind of cheesy. What your character Ryu would say and try to get information out of the NPCs. It's kind of broken, and like you're trying to piece the story together and try to get clues to the next hint of gameplay. You have so many different things that you could waste your time in. You can go to the arcades, you could get yourself a job and get a 9-to-5 job on the docks. So much fun. If you haven't played this game, probably goes down as one of the greatest Dreamcast games, if not one of the greatest games of all time. If you check a lot of forums, a lot of people will say that this is one of the greatest games of all time and part of the greatest sequel. Shenmue 3 will be released hopefully later this year. Not too sure if it's going to be this year or next year. I haven't really followed up on it as to when it's going to be coming out. Play part 1, play part 2 on the Xbox, and wait for 3 when it comes out. But there's my top 10 list, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate everything you guys have done for us in the past. Please leave a comment down below. Please like, comment, subscribe, and thanks, guys.